Picture this: a celebrity so desperate for positive press that her team jumps on what they think is a friendly shout-out from one of Taylor Swift's closest connections, only to discover it's a year-old rerun that nobody cared about the first time around. The cringe factor is off the charts, and yes, we're talking about Blake Lively's latest public relations nightmare. What happened in the last 48 hours is the kind of Hollywood mess that makes you wonder if anyone on her team knows how to use Google. From deleted articles to exposed desperation, this story has everything you need to understand why Blake's carefully crafted image continues to spiral out of control. On Monday, Travis Kelce and his brother uploaded an episode to their podcast reviewing Blake Lively's movie Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Fans immediately started questioning the timing. Why now, in the middle of Blake's public relations catastrophe? The brothers called her a friend in the episode, which sent the internet into speculation mode. Was this Travis publicly declaring loyalty to Blake, despite her falling out with his girlfriend Taylor Swift? Comment sections exploded with theories about what this could mean for the Taylor-Blake friendship drama. People were dissecting every word, trying to figure out if this was a coded message or peace offering from Team Swift. But that's not all. Eagle-eyed listeners quickly realized something the media outlets apparently missed entirely. This wasn't a new episode at all. The podcast had originally aired on October 17th of last year, nearly 12 months before this supposed show of support. Travis and his brother were simply re-uploading old content as part of a massive reorganization of their membership platform. They'd signed a deal worth over $100 million with Amazon, and the production company was moving episodes around to make everything available to all viewers. This wasn't a strategic move to support Blake. It was basic content management that had nothing to do with current events. It gets even worse when you realize how many outlets completely fell for this non-story. Blake Lively-friendly media jumped on the episode immediately, spinning narratives about friendship and loyalty without bothering to check the upload date. TMZ led the charge, publishing a major story about how Travis Kelce was showing love for Blake Lively when she desperately needed public support. The entertainment news cycle went into overdrive, with dozens of outlets picking up the story and amplifying it across social media. Everyone wanted to believe this was meaningful, that powerful Hollywood connections were rallying around Blake in her time of need. Things take an unexpected turn when Blake Lively herself gets involved. Either her team reached out to TMZ directly, or they were already in close contact, possibly even feeding them the story in the first place. TMZ published quotes allegedly from Blake, saying she was taken aback by the movie Bombshell reference given her public fallout with Swift, and that she was pleasantly surprised by the comments. These quotes painted Blake as humble, gracious, and appreciative of friendship during difficult times. It was exactly the kind of narrative her team has been desperately trying to create for months. And here's where it gets wild. Someone finally did the basic research that should have been done before the first article was published. The realization hit that this episode was a year old, and suddenly everyone involved looked foolish. TMZ made the decision to completely scrub their article with Blake's quotes from the internet. We're not talking about a simple edit. They deleted the entire piece and tried to make it disappear as if it never existed. The article still shows up in Google search results, but clicking the link brings up an error message with no content. The reason this is happening is that someone got extremely embarrassed and wanted to erase the evidence of their massive oversight. Credit goes to commentator Andy from Popcorn Planet for catching this deletion in real time during a live stream. He documented the vanishing act as it happened, preserving proof that the article existed before TMZ could memory hold the disaster. The Wayback Machine shows nothing, suggesting someone specifically requested removal from that archive service. However, the Daily Mail had already picked up TMZ's story and rewritten it, which means Blake's reaction remains permanently documented on the internet despite the scrubbing efforts. And listen to this. Blake had responded to this same podcast episode when it originally aired a year ago. Her team apparently forgot about her previous reaction, which makes the new quotes even more ridiculous and exposes just how lazy her current media strategy has become. This wasn't even new information for Blake to respond to, yet her team treated it like breaking news worthy of official statements. TMZ eventually added a correction to a different article, acknowledging the episode was a re-upload from last year. They tried to justify their coverage by suggesting the timing was somehow interesting. things get even messier from here when you consider the absurdity of thinking Travis Kelce personally orchestrated any of this. His podcast is a massive production backed by Amazon's money and run by a professional entertainment company. The idea that Travis sat down with his brother and suggested they re-upload that specific episode about Blake Lively as some friendship signal is ridiculous. These shows have entire teams handling content scheduling. Travis probably had no idea this episode was being republished until the internet exploded with speculation. What came next surprised everyone when major outlets started analyzing a bracelet on Taylor Swift's latest album cover. Most commentary assumes Taylor wore this specific Lauren Schwartz bracelet to show solidarity with Blake Lively, who wore what appears to be an identical piece at the It Ends With Us premiere. The popular theory suggests this is Taylor's way of publicly supporting her friend despite all the controversy. But this interpretation completely misses a much darker and more calculated possibility that makes far more sense given Taylor's history of symbolic storytelling. This is where it gets downright chaotic. Consider that the premiere where Blake wore this bracelet represents the exact moment everything started falling apart for her. That event marked the beginning of her public relations disaster, when her carefully constructed image began crumbling and her fanbase split into warring factions. The premiere was ground zero for the backlash that's defined Blake's career for months. So, when Taylor chooses that same bracelet for her album cover, it might not be a gesture of friendship at all. It could be Taylor holding up a mirror, forcing Blake to see herself. The twist? It's even bigger than you think, because Taylor Swift has weaponized symbolic jewelry before. Remember the red scarf from her song about Jake Gyllenhaal? That accessory became a cultural phenomenon, but it wasn't about heartbreak. It was about control and ownership. Taylor took something representing loss and transformed it into a power move that kept people talking for years. She's fluent in the language of symbols, and friendship bracelets have been part of her brand throughout her Eras tour. Blake and Ryan Reynolds wore them as signs of connection, but symbols can mean different things depending on context. But here's the kicker. If that bracelet represents the moment Blake's narrative collapsed, then wearing it now isn't solidarity. It's accountability wrapped in glamour and diamonds. It's Taylor saying she sees exactly what happened and who's responsible. Friendship bracelets used to mean unity in Taylor's world, passed between fans and friends as tokens of belonging. This time feels different because that specific bracelet has become shorthand for everything that unraveled after the premiere. The controversy, the allegations, the public backlash, the deafening silence from Blake's defenders. That's when everything flipped upside down in how we should interpret Taylor's fashion choices. She's not showing support, she's making a statement. Only Taylor knows the truth about why she chose that bracelet, or whether someone on her styling team selected it without deeper meaning. Other celebrities have worn Lauren Schwartz bracelets, including Megan Thee Stallion at the Oscars. But pretending we figured out the definitive answer when we're just guessing is exactly the kind of overconfident analysis that got Blake's team in trouble.